And we are live with the man, the machine, the android himself, E L Montague, or at least one copy of him. How are you today, E L Montague 02147?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I actually did get to write today, so you can continue to call me the machine. I knocked out 1,000 words before our meeting today, so that I've got more. I got to keep the mill churning.
Okay, so I'll be listening to see if you're typing as we interview you.
No, but I do have it up on screen, or not on screen, but I've got it up on the computer, so I can pull it up if I wanted to.
And you are a unique individual in many ways, but particularly here, you are launching not just one but two books essentially today, aren't you?
Yeah, in essence. So here's the little stack over here. I think you've got them too. So in July, I released a novella, To Catch a Witch. It's essentially a chase, and the way that I did that, I believe Timothy Wolf was on your show in late June, and he said he wanted to do the baby bow, and I had never heard of it, and I didn't know what it was, and most of my kind of stuff. Oh, look at you guys. Anyway, so he wanted to do the baby bow, and I was like, I want to do the baby bow. So I went and read the instructions, and they said I had to have a novella published before July 31st. So I sat down and I wrote it. I lucked out by getting in touch with my artist, Vladimir Nyoshenko, and he had a window. And so, I mean, it was that day. Whatever day you spoke to Timothy Wolf, that night I said, I'm going to write a novel for the baby bow. And I got to writing it. I believe I got it to you within a week or so.
Yep.
And asked for a beta, to which you were like, gosh, Ed, strong sauce.
But fortunately, it was a small enough book where Mike could actually read it. So
it is Mike approved.
It is. It's the minimum for the baby bow was 15,000 words, and this is 17. So again, I wrote that novella, and then what was actually on the deck and planned was my next collection in the Near Earth series, which is Adrift in the Next Revolution. Same idea as that one. It's the same idea as Heirs to a Flawed Creation, except for these are all human stories instead of android stories. And of course, Heirs to a Flawed Creation, which we did. I'll go slower. Heirs to a Flawed Creation, which released in April. The thing about the Near Earth stories, and this is true for all of the stories or all of the long works that I write lots of short stories to go with them. I explore the characters and their backstory and other things going on with them, and sometimes those short stories turn into novels. But I write a lot of, what would you call it? Spin-off or fluff or whatever. I write stories that go along with them. So the collections go along with novels that happen in the same world. So they're just exploring everything that's going on there.
We just before the show started, we were talking about a review that you got. And I haven't read the Witch one, okay? I started listening to, hold it up, Mike. The one with the android. I started listening to that, okay? I got a couple of stories deep into that, and I will tell you that it's not my thing, right?
Right.
I fucking love this. This is outstanding.
Well, thank you.
Right? And I will admit I wasn't in love with it when I started reading it, but as I kind of got into it a little bit more, and all I could think of about halfway through is, what about these people who were in the first chapter? What happens to them, right? And why were they there? And then you tied a half a dozen different things together so neatly at the end of this that it was just like, that is really excellent writing and a great story.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. You want me to give you palpitations on that one? The characters flow across books.
That's awesome, because some of these characters I really want to know more about. And the way that thing ended, it's like I will admit, I kind of wish it would have started where it ended, because that storyline on that New Earth kind of thing.
Well, so you get both of those. So you get Mama Nina's story on Frontera. That's a whole. That's actually several stories. So Mama Nina and Sons is one thread, and so you basically see the beginning and the end. And then the family, the Francis family, takes on from there in their own series in Beta 183. So again, this is just exploring the different worlds that are out there. Looks like we're getting a few people in there. Hello, Timothy Wolf. Did you get adequate credit for my novella? I don't know if you were on there or not, but Timothy Wolf, everybody gets credit for the novella. He doesn't have to own the violence and heavy pace, but the fact that it was written down is all his fault.
So, Ed, can you give me just a second? I have to ask Ro a question here. It's about your book, but so Ro, I read the first 2 stories in this. Are you saying that it picked up later in the book?
No, I mean, it picks up now where you are, right?
So Ro and I are just like opposites, because this is one of my 2 favorite reads of the year. I don't know which one's my favorite. I absolutely loved Catch a Witch, and I read the first 2 stories here. I'm like, I don't know. It's humans. They're boring. I like the androids.
No, keep going.
So, okay. You can join the conversation now, EO. I just want to ask.
The reason I brought all that up to begin with to everybody else who's not us 3 is before we came on, you said, EL, that you got a review.
I did.
For the Witch.
For Catch a Witch, it's a 2-star. And the thing that kills me about it is I just got 2 stars, and I obviously affected the guy enough, because 2 days later he went and gave me the same 2 stars on Amazon. So he thought about it for 2 days. And more than that, he read the whole thing. I know it has a male name. The reviewer has a male name. And I know it was just them, because when the stars went up, there's only one person who had read it. So,
all right. Okay.
They were the one, because they're the ones that read it. And then I got some other reviews from people I'd sent the book out to who had a chance to read it and provided reviews. But
I think it's really important, I think, for all authors to realize that just because you get a 2-star review doesn't mean the book isn't good. It just means that book wasn't good for that particular reader. And I didn't know Mike was going to say any of what he just said, but it proved the point super well, which is really odd for us that all worked out like that.
We were salient, yeah.
That I can really love one book and he'll kind of like, and I'm kind of the same way with the other book that he really likes. So it's just a matter of kind of finding your audience. But I mean, even if I was going to give a review of the Android book, I wouldn't give it a 2, because coming from where I'm coming from, I realized the writing is good, and I realized that it's just that particular story doesn't connect with me. It doesn't mean it's a bad book.
Right.
So if anybody out there gets bad reviews, take a deep breath. It's okay.
Okay, Ro. You need to read The Last Good Man, and then you can tell me whether or not you don't like the other book.
Okay, is that like one of the stories in that book?
It's one of the stories in the first book. Mike cursed me during the story and at the end of the story. He took time. He's like, I'm reading it. He's like, damn it, Ed. You're not going to do this to me. I started getting these messages from him. And then the next day I got messages from him. He was like, where's the rest of the story? I want more story. Tell me what happens to this guy.
I mean, it's a great, like, I don't know, like 8,000 words or whatever. I'm like, but that's not the story. That's a short story. I want a novel, damn it. There is more to this. Tell me what happens.
Yeah, that's all.
Hey, Tim's still talking to us even after being on our show.
Oh, it was a good show last night. It was a good show last night. You want to know something funny, Mike? In that first book, so I try to open collections with a story that'll set tone for the rest of the book, so that I get it that I'm strong sauce. So, I start with Murders and Mayhem so that anybody who isn't going to be happy with that will be forewarned. And in that first one, the robot assassin, he and the boy have their own set of stories.
I was
those are characters.
You'd warned me. You said the first one, if you get through that and it's okay, you can read the rest. And I was like, I don't know. If this assassin kills the wrong people, I'm out. And I'm just like, I don't know. We'll see.
Yep. Yeah. Well, the robot assassin goes on to raise that child, and there are stories of the father-son duo of the robot assassin and his ill-gotten child.
Oh, so what is the next book out? I mean, September's right around the corner. So
wait. Before we get to the next book, when is the actual release date of Adrift?
It was yesterday, or it's actually today.
Today. Let's talk about his release a little bit first. I mean,
So
give me a chance to yell buy my book.
Yeah, this book is available today. So you can go on to Amazon. I've got to figure out how to price these things, but for anybody who likes this, Kindle, the Kindle Unlimited has it. I signed it up for the Audible Unlimited thing, and so if you're Audible, what is it?
KU, Kindle Unlimited.
So KU is Kindle Unlimited, the Audible version of that.
Oh, okay.
Like not Audible Originals, but Audible.
Okay, the Audible version of KU.
Yeah, pretty much. If you have Plus, Audible Plus. If you have Audible Plus, there's stories that you don't have to buy, and I signed it up for that. They haven't accepted it yet, but they did accept Heirs to a Flawed Creation, so that should be out there for you.
This is the answer, Timothy.
Yeah, I'm entering To Catch a Witch in Baby Boat.
It is Mike Length approved.
It is Mike Length approved. It's about 70 pages.
Even this thing, which is only 397 pages, Mike. So this falls well under your cutoff. You're good to go.
Okay.
Since we've got the Tims out there, something I want to show you guys. I would love for other people to do this thing, but if you look in the back of,
I just saw that. Thank you very much.
If you look in the back of my book, one of the things I did it because it kind of makes it look professional and stuff, but I went ahead and my author friends, I reached out to them and said, hey, if you'd like to be in the back cover along with the updates, I'll add some recognition for you. So I think that's for us little circle of authors out there, it cost me absolutely nothing. I was already formatting the book and all the rest of it. I just stuck an about page in the back and dropped a picture in. And I give credit to everybody that does work. So I prominently position the artwork. I say this was done by, and then in the back of all the books, I give a page to the people who read my work for me, and editors. If I do a serious edit and that kind of stuff, they all get credit. So I think we should all be doing that kind of thing.
That's a really good idea, and I'll probably do that whenever I release a book again next. And you're right, that takes very little time or effort, and it's free essentially. So those 2 or 3 extra pages aren't going to cost you anything in real money.
The most it cost me was an email and 2 days of just waiting for people to give me stuff.
So I know you two will be shocked, but I'm going to be a contrarian.
No.
Okay. Be contrary.
Oh God, now I just forgot his name again. Who is the indie author who sold a gazillion books and moved to New Zealand from
Cahill?
Yes, Ryan Cahill. somebody had something similar like that, like, put your friends of books that also recommend them in the back, and he just put no. This is a nice thought, but this is where you need to call to action to get people to follow you. Put your website, put your stuff. You should not be shouting out other people's books. That's for them to do. I don't know if I agree with it, but that's what he put on answering somebody.
Here's the thing. I have an opinion about this.
Okay.
I am a small creator. I've sold a fraction of books to what either of you have, and we've all sold a fraction compared to Ryan Cahill. We've sold nothing. We all grow together, no matter how good you are. Even Brandon Sanderson can't turn out a book every day. He's not going to turn one out every week. And anybody who has a little bit of money to invest, I think serious readers put down a book, some in less than a week, but a week or 2 weeks is a pretty normal time for heavy readers, right?
Yeah.
Most of us, I would say everybody that is on this show that writes, and most of the people who are going to watch this can't thank you, can't turn out a book as fast as readers can buy them and read them. There has to be more of us. And so me helping you be stronger doesn't make me weaker at all. It's not one pie that we can only get so much of. Make more pies. So if me giving you some attention, put that up there. This is your show.
No, I'm looking at something. Go keep talking.
But what I'm saying is, so for me and for the Tims who I both know, both are authors, and for you guys who I know are authors, and anybody else who's in the indie and self-publishing game, build each other up, give each other a shot. You don't have to like I don't like everything I read, and but I still respect what's out there, and getting the word out helps everybody.
Yeah, and I think I totally understand where he's coming from with that, and I get it, but he is probably someone who is paying the rent with writing.
Yeah.
But even then, you're absolutely right with what you said, EL. You can't put out a book every day, at least not writing fantasy. And there's just, if a reader knows that at the back of your book, you're going to give them 5 really good recommendations for their next one, that's not going to put them off coming back to you. If anything else, they will go back to you because you did that, right? It's like, oh, well, I liked their last book. I'll read it again. And I liked, 3 of the 5 books they recommended. Let's see what he has in this one.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think there's any loss for anybody in doing that. And at the same time, I don't think he's a dick for saying that, right? I mean, I get it.
Not at all.
And that's fine. He can be like that. Not be like that. He can take that.
To him, it's a business. For us, I mean,
so something that I would add to that, just from a pure business standpoint, and from a sales point of view, I know a little bit about selling, and one of the things that everybody needs to move up is credentials. Somebody has to say, yeah, I've seen that and it's good. So everybody has to break in somewhere. Somebody's got to read your first story. And if you want to take the steps up, you have to be, what's it called? Social credit. You have to get social credit to say, yeah, you should spend some time with this. You want to spread around and touch as many people as you can and share as much as you can so that you build up that audience. And the only way, for me, the only way I can find my audience is if I dip my toe in enough pools to find the people who like the thing that I do.
Right.
Because I don't have to please everyone. I don't need 1 million fans. I need 10,000 fans that love my thing. And that's a very achievable number for any of us. But I have to understand I'm not trying to please the world. I'm trying to please my reader, who's not your reader and is not Tim's reader. Maybe there's some
overlap.
What's it called in the Venn diagram where they cross over each other?
Overlap.
Sure, we'll go with overlap. There's overlap, but they're not even measures.
And I think intersection is the word that we're looking for.
That is the word I was looking for. Thank you.
It was going to bug me all night.
I've been totally ignoring the questions over here. I think we probably ought to ask these guys to ask us questions too.
They'll jump in. It's usually you who asks the questions in there. So.
It is me who normally asks the questions, but I want to make certain that we're giving these guys credit. So I answered Timothy about the baby bow.
Yeah, they're kind of having
you should all give it a shot.
About what we're talking
Super
about.
Fast read.
So I was going to just say, in my monthly newsletter, I started getting more people to open it when I started. Well, two things I added. One is I forced myself to read at least one book a month, and I'm like, hey, here's a book. I really liked it. Let me tell you about it. And because I'm stupid, I never tell the author that I'm doing it, so they never know if I put their book in or not, unless they subscribe to my newsletter, which of course no one does. So I may be helping, I may not. Who knows? I know I meant to tell, Laura Huey, because I checked and 8 people clicked on her Amazon book link when I put her book in there and said it's one of my 2 favorites of the year. So hopefully, I'm paying it forward, but I don't tell people because, that would take a memory. But I was looking at my book in the back in my acknowledgments. I acknowledge, everyone who I paid for services, and then the people who helped me when I asked them random questions. And then I put the booktubers who I find value in, and then the Discord servers. But you know what? I did not put other authors' books. I think that's a good idea. I might have to do that for the next one.
Cool. Question answer for Isaac Anderson. I know Timothy Wolf put it out there. SF Spiffbo for novellas. SFINC Speculative Fiction Indie Novella Championship. I think
that's a mouthful.
They call it.
It is a mouthful, but the entry. So for any of you writers out there that want to come out and knock me out in the first round, Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, they're going to open it, and they say it fills in about an hour or 45 minutes. So sit by your computer, have a novella that was published by July 31st of this year. And that's from, I think, 15,000 words to 40,000 words. Speculative fiction. Be there, be square. The first 100 entrants will be a part of the competition.
Just 100?
Just 100. It's only the second year they've done it, but so one of the things I'm doing, so self-publishing altogether, this that we're all talking, my publishing adventure is learning how to do this. I've been writing a long time, so I think I know how to put a couple of words together. But publishing,
does this sphincter thing that you're talking about, is that, that's what people are going to call it?
Well, they call it the Sphinx. Yeah.
Does it have to be a physical copy? Because I have a couple novellas, but they're strictly ebook.
You just have to have an EPUB. It has to be published, so you have to be able to prove that it's published. It has to be, again, between 15,000 and 40,000 words. Has to be published independently, so you can't be with a publishing house.
So I kind of wonder about this because I just have mine on BookFunnel as a reader magnet.
I think it counts.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that. Check that out.
If you go, so the site is, what is it? I don't want to mess up this, but I can put the site in the comments later.
Well, what was it called again? I'll find it.
SFINC S, and they just updated the website because it was messed up. Maybe one of the guys can post it out there for you.
INCS.
Yep.
Yes.
Thanks.
Oh, there it is.
Yep.
Okay.
And there's also a Discord server for it if you go look for that. And that's where, yeah, that's the one. Yeah. So competition this weekend. I'd love to have, I would love for all of us to enter. I'm not afraid of anybody that puts their novella out there because I want to compete against the best possible answer. So bring your best. Let's have fun. And again, this goes to the more of us participate, the more opportunity there is. It's good for everybody.
Yeah, nice.
So I'm just waiting on Space Bow.
That's September 1st, I think.
Is it? I've seen a couple Twitter posts saying it's coming, and I couldn't find any details.
It's September 1st. If you go look up their website, they've started sticking it out there.
They updated their website? Wow.
Sort of. There's a blog post or a comment that says it, but it's September 1st is when that one will be there. Sphincters. That is kind of funny. All right. And I might try and do that one too. Although I asked the question as to whether or not heirs could be entered because it's a collection as opposed to one story. And
right.
We'll see. All right. And then you asked the question, Ro, when is the next book that I think I'm going to release?
Yeah, Mike asked you that.
Just
we look alike.
Oh, it was you that asked it. Okay. Off the top of my head, I'm going to try for October.
And what's it going to be?
I think I'm going to do the Seaward Island story, and that.
Wait. You said October of this year?
Yeah.
And then you said, I think I'm going to do.
So I have a written novel.
Oh, okay.
That I am editing.
All right.
And all I have to do is I have to have art and I have to be happy with where everything lands.
It sounded like you had a couple that you were going to choose from. It's like, I think I'm going to do this one.
No, and Mike, the reason that I'm not going to try for something in September is because I started writing a short story while I was on a trip end of July, I think the last week of July. And I think I'll finish that novel by the end of September.
Okay.
It's at 40,000 words now. So, and it's a good one. It's good fun. I think you'll like it. And that one's in the fantasy world.
October would be a good release date because, I think people will like to have something else to look at other than the just tremendous amount of political ads that are going to be out starting in October.
Such a mess, at least in the U.S. I don't know if everybody else drowns in our crap, but October, November is going to be just a cesspool of awful.
All Tim McKay and his boys up there are like guarding their border going, you're not coming up here. I don't care what you say you're going to do, but you're not coming up here.
And John is in the house.
We're not your hidey hole.
Mr. Stevenson, hello. So anyway, we've covered books. I can hold books up again if we want to. Actually, let's talk about the Haley Traveler. Bring it up.
What?
You know me, Ro. I'm shameless.
You're a publicity slut. I get it.
So we're all talking about how we get our books out there. What's been your experience? You've taken, so we've talked about it a bit here. You've taken it to how many conferences now? 3?
3 so far, yeah.
Yeah, but you've also you're using a tour, right?
I am
a book tour.
I spent the house on this one. I'm doing not one but 2 book tours. And I reached out to the booktubers I know and to other reviewers. I have over 60 copies out for review copies. So we'll see. I figure the biggest problem with indie publishing is you don't have a megaphone. So I figured I'd spend on this. It's the first book in a series. Spend the money, try to get a following. So we'll see if it works. This is the first of 3 weeks of my book tour this week, and then an off week, and then 2 more weeks after that.
So for people who have heard of book tours but don't know anything about them, what are they? What does it entail? What kind of cost? What kind of result, if not in reviews, are you getting? I mean, walk people through the book tour process.
Okay, so this is glorious for an introvert like me. The book tour requires me to do so very, very little, and I don't have to show up and talk to people. So it's wonderful. A company, basically, they get a list of other book reviewers, and when you put your book in there, they send out emails to everyone on their list saying who wants this book, who would like to review it. And the people say me. They then send that list to me and say, these are the people who want it. The ones who want ebooks, the company will take care of. The ones that want physical copies, they told me, they said, well, in England, it'll cost £28 a book if we order it from Amazon and have it shipped, and we'll just add that to your total. And I said, no, I can do it for half that price. So I just had them print it individually in England and shipped for about $15 a book, but I got it in the hands of 23 reviewers in England. So
I think that's awesome.
Costs a pretty penny. One tour for 1 week was $250 US, and the other one's about $500 for 2 weeks. But all told, I will get 40 reviewers.
You know, it's hard to get people to review. Which, by the way, for anybody listening and anybody who picks this up later, if you read a book, review it. Good would be to drop in a star rating. Great would be, write something, even if it's just a sentence or two. I did like this. I did not like this. And by the way, if you give me a 2-star, which, I got the 1 2-star, just say why you didn't like it. Because it could be that the thing that made you think, God, this is awful, is going to make somebody else think that's the one I want to read. So if you didn't like it, say why you didn't like it. I can't improve if you don't tell me, and somebody else won't know.
And it also kind of inoculates you as an author, because, for instance, I got a reviewer, read my book, said, I had fun with Becoming a Druid, but there was too much dialogue. It felt like a screenplay at times, so I will not continue the series. But it was fast-paced and fun. And I'm like, you know what? That's great, because if you don't like a lot of dialogue, you now know, don't get my book and give me a 1-star because you didn't, it's out there. They can read it, and they're like, okay, it's not for me. We're both happier that way.
But they said they liked the story, so I mean that's a win at the end of the day, anyway.
Yeah. So I mean, I'll take it, but yeah, I mean, it inoculates you too as the author of, like, if they give you a 2-star and say this is why I don't like it, then if that really bugs someone else, they won't actually get it.
Well, and throwing your character 2 stars wasn't written in first person present tense. Oh my Lord, Timothy Wolf.
It's sorry, it's funny that you say that person didn't like it because it sounded like a screenplay. One of the nicest things anybody's ever said to me in person was, they said, this weekend I woke up on Sunday and I'm trying to think about this movie I saw, and I couldn't remember the name of it. And finally I realized it was your book I was thinking about. Right? It's like, that's a freaking win.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, they obviously, and right back to what we were talking about earlier, what works for some people is not going to work for everybody. So,
And there's no compliment like it stuck with me. I was thinking about your stuff long after I put it down.
Yeah.
You did your job.
Yeah.
So, by the way, in terms of the not being able to get your word out and all, I'm going to say this for all 3 of us, even though they don't know I'm going to say this. If you are another YouTuber or reviewer that wants to interview me or Mike or Ro, drop us a Twitter, say, hey, I'd love to have you guys on my show, or you on my show. I want to talk about your book. And I'm sure we'd be more than happy to do it. Again, that's the whole build the little community thing. I want to shout you guys out, and I would love to see you guys appear other places. And pimp your wares there too, because
I will do it any time of the day or night and dress up however you want. I have no shame.
So-
I
all
yeah.
right.
I'll
Row
be
in the chicken suit at 2 PM.
So
Well,
EL, let me just
not when
add
I'm
to
working,
that.
I guess, but
Let me just add to that. No one who is asked to be on our show has been told no.
a couple
Now-
people wish we would have told no.
Now I don't know how many people I told yes and then forgot to follow up. I mean, that never happens. Never. I don't have the memory of a goldfish. What were
How
you
many,
talking
how many people were scheduled to be here and you didn't send them the link to get into the show?
Yeah,
I did have to ask for the link today.
Well, that was
You
45
weren't the first one.
Well, that's because I'm a thinker. I'm a thinker. But so we have that. So something I did a couple of weeks ago. I don't remember exactly when. For those of you who follow me on Twitter, X, enjoy wearing 3-inch heels with the chicken suit, Herman. But I think it was a couple of weeks ago. I put out a note just saying, "Hey, I'm looking for YouTubers. I want to know who's in BookTube, who's our thing, so I can go check them out." Specifically, I was looking for small providers, and I actually published a pretty good list out there. And then after I got the list from everybody of all the providers, the creators, I went ahead and put out one of their videos. So if you go look at my history, there's about 30 out there that talk about people that we know and some people we don't. And then I followed up and I contacted all those guys, and I picked up a couple more YouTubers that had never heard of me that have heard of me now. And I got some copies of the book out there. I would encourage all of you to do the same thing.
I think that's how Mike really started in this, because a little over a year ago when Mike and I met, he was not getting on Twitter for anybody's freaking business. And he was essentially Oscar the Grouch hiding in his trash can. And now he is just the social media maven. And he reached out to all of these different YouTubers and everything and pimped himself out with no shame. And here he is. So
Okay, so
we'll be talking about him moving to New Zealand one day. And
as much crap as I've been giving you guys only know each other for a year?
year and a half, something like that.
Year and a half. We started May of last year, our channel. So
Yeah.
This level of camaraderie came out of
We
18
just
months?
met at a show somewhere and we started talking.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then Rose said we should start a channel, and I'm like, no.
Mike was really not into it at first. He was like, I don't know you, strange person, and I don't think I want to do this.
Then Rose said the magic words of, "I'll do all the editing." I'm like, oh, well.
It'll be fun.
And then we decide to go live, so there is no editing. So,
Which is much better.
yes.
So I want to ask about that because, I do a lot with Matt over at Beard of Darkness. And he said that the static stuff, so the edited and put out like shorts and stuff, gets way higher viewers. And those actually kind of help to pull people in for the longer stuff.
Oh, they
Have
probably
you seen
are.
that too?
I bet they do on like TikTok or Reels or something like that. Anything that's 30 seconds to a minute is kind of the sweet spot. I think that's a great thing to do, but it would require us to go in to YouTube and download a video and then go find the 30 seconds or what. I just have no time. Ain't nobody got time.
I follow. I got a day job too. Questions. Did you say you met at a show? They did meet at a show.
He said, I thought you met at a Shoney's.
Oh, so
Now you've been around the world and for a long time when you know both Shoney's and Bob Evans.
I ate at a Bob Evans in West Virginia last weekend. I haven't eaten at one of those, I think, in forever. And
That's an Ohio thing, isn't it? I know they're kind of in the Midwest, but I think they come out of Ohio or something.
Well, this is Huntington, West Virginia, so it's really close to Ohio and Kentucky. So, it wasn't good, So that probably explains why I haven't eaten one in a long time. But the root beer was all right, so that's saving grace.
My experience with Bob Evans, there was one by my home when I lived in Kansas City, and it was pretty good. By the way, Ithra said that the short versions are getting like 400 plus views, so that's something.
That's really good.
Well, it's eyeballs. It's the more eyeballs you get, the more attention you can bring in. So
yeah, maybe we'll have to do that, Mike. We'll have to break down and start going through and editing some stuff and making clips.
You guys don't even have to break down and do a bunch of editing of clips. You probably can, but just set yourself up an hour on a Saturday and just do the two of you being stupid, say quotes and silly stuff, and then snip that up into a bunch of little spots to get some attention.
Yeah, I don't know if that would work as well if we were trying to do that. I think the part of the beauty of the stupidity is it's just naturalness. It's uncomplicated, it's unscripted.
I do like the natural. I do like the live interviews for that very reason, because you just get what's there.
So all right. To dancing goes when I proposed to my wife, I said part of this deal is I do not dance. So I didn't do it for her.
And she obviously accepted anyway.
Yeah, she didn't know.
I'm trying to keep up with the stuff on the side here too, make sure that we don't miss out on anything.
So you are not actually a host of the show, right?
I do realize, but it's a collective effort.
I appreciate it.
I want people to like me and have me around.
So the contrast between you and Ro and I, you think is going to be good for you? Because I mean, it usually is.
You will look stupendous.
I want us to. I love this community. I mean, I like all the people that are around. I like the little niche that we have, and I'd like to find more people like us to pull into the pile and have fun.
I have to admit, I don't know that I've met anybody in this community who I would say is anything other than just a stand-up kind of really decent person, right? Now, I know Mike and I were at a show once, and there was an author there who was selling their books hard, to a point where you kind of wanted to throat punch them, right?
Right.
There are certain things that you do and do not do at a con when you're a vendor, and snagging other people. If somebody's at your table, you don't snag them away, right? You don't snag someone. If someone's talking to Mike, I don't try to get him to talk to me.
Yeah.
But they were all into that kind of thing.
Some of that's newbie stuff too. I've talked a couple of times about. Oh, you don't think that was newbie?
They were not. Definitely not. Multiple years it's happened.
Well,
but whatever.
Personalities.
You got it. It's all good.
So they will never be on our show. So we showed them.
That's right. I'm sure they care.
Save them from the teeming masses.
Look at us and go, who? Who are you? What?
So, Mike, are you gonna ask me silly questions, or are we gonna try and build a monster?
You have your choice.
Different.
You
can. And let's just real quick. Ro told us that he had to be gone in 15 minutes.
Yep.
Is there anything Ro needs to get attention before we get lost in our monster making?
No, Ro has plenty of attention. He's fine.
Well, we're not making a monster, but you will be going to the Bald Dome.
Going to the Bald Dome. All right.
So,
by the way, I saw that you got a bunch of good reviews from some of our friendlies out there on your book. Laura Huey put out a good one, and I think Kay put out a good one. That's all pretty fun.
Kay put out one?
I think so.
Uh-oh.
That's what happens when you actually do all the work before you release it, right, Mike? Not like your other books that you just kind of said, woohoo. I'm done. It's out.
Well, no, that's wrong. After I published it, I called my brother and I doubled the number of people in the world who knew it was published.
Yeah.
So, but this time, I did want to say for the book tour, one of the reasons I did the book tours is both of them said that Bookstagram is the best place to get the word out about your book to get sales. And I am not on Instagram. Well, I am now because
You have 2,000 followers in about a month.
I have 250 now.
Do you really?
Started 10 days ago.
I mean, you don't suck. That's great.
No, it's not. But anyway, they said that is really where you get the best bang for your buck. Both tour companies that I had hired said the same thing, and that's where most of the reviewers are. And I was like, well, I am not there. So everybody who sees my book is going to be meeting me for the first time, pretty much.
And where is that they see you?
Bookstagram. So Instagram, just put hashtag Bookstagram, and almost all my one reviewer is on YouTube. Everyone else is a Bookstagrammer. So.
All right. Well, I will have to learn something new because Bookstagram was not my thing.
I hate Instagram with a passion. I hate everything Mark Zuckerberg produces. But
hey, Michael, just letting people know, how many Instagram things do you have?
I have 2, but I don't use the personal one. I use the Mike_Molman.
Right, okay, and it has a copy of the Haley Traveler as the photo, right? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, you want to do that.
All right. I'm going to do this live real quick. Maybe
Yeah,
I can.
I just followed you too there, Mike.
Woo, 251. Soon to be 252.
Yeah. You got a lot of covers of the Haley Traveler here, man.
Yeah.
Everybody that can do this, let's follow him. And here I'm following you now. You had a little photo shoot with your book.
Yeah, right.
So that is everyone else who did that, and I literally had to get the interns, the one who's 19 years old. I'm like, here, teach me how to use this. And tomorrow's her last day, so I don't know what I'm going to do after she leaves.
Speaking of interns, did the dude like To Catch a Witch? I get him to do a beta read, and he's like, I just want you to know I handed your unedited, unrefined book to one of my interns because he said he wanted to read it. Did he like it?
He's read about half of it. He's kind of. I found out he also likes to read romance, which I thought was odd. But
I am not good with. I'm not romantic.
So, well, I mean, he read Haley Traveler. That is not romantic. He actually, I told him I have to buy him lunch now next week because, the thing going on Twitter is describe your book poorly.
Right.
And when he had read Haley Traveler, he goes, oh, yeah, Mike's book, The Haley Traveler. Chris goes around shooting a bunch of people, but he makes friends, so it's okay. And so.
Finds a girl to like him.
So when I got tagged as, hey, describe your book poorly, I'm like, okay, I'll buy him lunch, but I'm using his words because it's late and I want to go to bed. So I totally used his words, and I told him, he laughed and said, that's fine. He'll take the lunch. I can have the words. So if you think I'm clever, you're wrong. I just stole from someone, but it's okay.
Hey, he's okay with it, I'm sure.
So, but he started reading it, and then one of the other interns told him to read a romance novel, and she's much cuter than I am. So,
oh yeah, I would reject me for the cute girl in the office too. So, no big deal.
Well, cuter than Mike is what he said. That's a pretty low bar.
I was going to say low bar.
So,
well, she likes to repeat almost daily that, hey, Mike, you've been working at this company longer than I've been alive.
I don't think HR would say a thing if you
agreed with her.
Yeah,
well,
that.
Then we found out we have the same birthday, and I am 34 years older than her.
Well, that hurts, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, my youngest child is 23, so I'm past the day where I get to be shocked by those things.
She was born in 2004.
Still
That
hurts.
just hurts.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, and we get to talk to authors on here who are like, oh, yeah, I'm 27 years old. I've got my second book out. And it's like, wow.
There are some.
It's great.
Timothy
I'm
Wolf
just
is like
jealous that, we didn't start until we were 50.
That is the thing for me. My first published piece, I was only 21, but I then immediately hit it. You'll start my audiobook this week. I accept. So that's one thing that I am super curious about. Doing an audiobook is cost prohibitive.
Yep.
But I have a decent voice and I can read smoothly. So I did mine myself, and I often wonder if that's a mistake, but I can't afford the alternative. So
I can't afford it either, but that doesn't mean I didn't do it. But I actually just bought this audiobook today. So I will listen to it again, even though I read it. But
I would say my biggest challenge with the audiobooks right now is I'm learning the equipment. You have to, like I said, I'm learning how to do this. You have to learn how to do it all. It's audio production is as much a skill as writing a book. And I am definitely novice at that. So I hope it's satisfactory to everybody. We'll go with that.
You don't have that bad a voice. It's not like a chalk on, fingernail on chalkboard kind of voice. And I think a lot of people probably like it if they know the author is actually the one reading it. It kind of just makes that connection a little bit more with them. So I don't think it's a bad thing if you can do it.
It does feel weird because I've got a lot of female characters that I don't pass for that, but I think I do okay. I hope. So would you say audiobooks are worth the investment? Absolutely. 100%. Not even a question.
Yeah. That's the one thing I think we get asked at cons more than anything else is other than where's the bathroom is, do you have this on audiobook?
So I will pause on that because you were probably asking the guy who spent money on it instead of time. Blood, sweat, tears, time I did, but Mike actually bought actors.
So I have not made my money back, but it does open a number of doors. The first booktuber I got was Andrew Wizard. And the only reason I got him to read my book is he just said, you know what, we're moving. We weren't planning on this, but now I have to paint the entire house within the next 2 weeks. So I'm not going to be reading much. I'm just going to do audiobooks. And I was like, would you like my audiobook while you paint? And that is how I got in with the first booktuber. And then I spread from there. Once, he read it and liked it, he told other people. And I was following up with, I'll send you a copy. I'll send you a hardback. What do you want?
So how many copies of your audiobook do you have to sell to break even, roughly?
It's ugly.
For the Becoming a Druid, I think I figured for the 3 that I have to sell 1,000 total. So about 400 for Becoming a Druid and for To Speak with Elders, and about 200 for Sins and Sorrows. And I'm sitting not quite at 300 after 2 years. So I've not made my money, but like I said, it's opened any number of doors for me.
But that's 300 readers you probably wouldn't have had otherwise.
Right.
And it's, how many reviews that you wouldn't have had otherwise and all that kind of thing. So yeah, if you can stomach the cost up front, absolutely.
So what I would say in terms of cost, I went out and I actually did hire some actors to do a couple of short stories while I was trying to learn how to do it. And what I discovered was their actors are great and their production quality is good, but they're not me. They don't quite get they have another interpretation of my work than me, which is cool, but it's also not cool. And they're very expensive. For 15 or 20 minutes, $40-$50. And when you're talking about 10, 20 hours of material, it can be a couple of $1,000s to do a book. However, doing it myself, and nobody has responded with, God, I can't do this because his voice is awful or the production quality is terrible or anything like that. But I have my very small amount of sales, but I've sold as much audiobook as I have ebook or print combined. Yeah, $700 for a 2.5 hour novella. That's about right. It's $200 to $300 per produced hour.
Yep. So I will tell you the one piece of advice I got for audiobooks from a guy who had done one, because I was like, I don't, what is this magic you speak of? I can't do that. I am merely a mortal. And he told me, he goes, you get to do your own voice actor call, which tickles me to no end that I got to do an actor call. But he said, listen, I listened to 30 people with their auditions. He said, and I literally got chills when I heard my main character's voice being parroted back to me by the one who was reading it. He goes, and I was like, I don't care what this guy charges. He must do my book.
Right.
And so that's what he told me. And when I did mine, I got a English actor who's from Bristol, so he has the right accent for, where my story
he's got Grammy down.
And I mean, when I heard that, I was like, oh my God. And I looked him up, and he's been in 36 plays, and he's in the Air Force version of Band of Brothers, Masters of the Air, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
He's actually in that, with Spielberg and Tom Hanks. I'm like, oh my God, I cannot, and I was able to afford him. So, whew.
Hey, EL, thank you for coming on.
You had a hard
I've got a full shot
done without you.
And go. So everybody, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for all that you've done with this, and thanks for having me on your show.
Yep.
Go
and
do whatever you got to do. Mike and I will play for a while longer.
Go get a book.
We'll talk bad about you now.
All right, have at it. You won't be the first. You won't be the last. Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
Oh,
well, we're not done, Timothy. Mike and I will keep rolling. Anyway, well, we might be losing the others, but you and I can keep going because I'm down with the Bald Dome.
Okay.
But anyway, for all the production stuff and the content, serious. Just in case we lose people, I'd love to be on your show. Mike would love to be on your show. Ro said he would dance in high heels in a chicken suit if you'd let him be on your show. So definitely bring us over. And the other thing, Mike, is if you think there's somebody out there that you think I should go to them or I should give them a copy of my book, just let me know and I'll do it. All right, so let's go to the Bald Dome.
Okay, so what character is going to enter the Bald Dome?
Oh, which one of my many characters?
Yes, one.
I'll let you pick. Who do you want to go?
Nope, you got to pick.
You like Detective Juan Ramos de la Ramos. So
yeah,
the old cop. We'll take the old detective. What color shall the potion be now?
Isaac, you get to pick. Meanwhile, I will roll the dice.
Thanks, John.
Let's see. We have 1, 2. Then let's see. Red, 10, 6, and then yellow. Okay, so our detective is going to be in a mystical forest inhabited by ancient spirits.
All right. Mr. Ramos, Detective Ramos does a ghost forest.
He is given
so now so that we're all in the same place. I've got myself. I'm centering in on the suicide forest in Japan. So imagine some big tall bamboo, some ancient oaks, some pines higher than the mountains, nice and clean because everything in Japan is clean. It's misty. There's a nice brook running through. Okay.
And you are given,
and it's not morning, it's evening. like 8 o'clock. So it's gray but not dark.
Okay. You are given a loud purple fizzy potion,
Okay.
which you can choose to drink, or you can throw at your adversary, and whatever effect it has will automatically have it on them.
Okay.
So keep that in mind. Now, your choice is you can have your character can have a random regular item, everyday item, or he can have a weapon. If he chooses a weapon, he faces a fantasy creature. If he chooses a regular everyday item, he faces an actual existing animal. So does he want a weapon or does he want an everyday item?
Well, do I get to choose the weapon?
No, I've rolled, but you have to choose, and then I tell you what you get.
And he doesn't have his grandfather's 38
No,
in the pancake holster.
no.
How'd he get out of his house without it? I don't know. All right. That's fine. So
Regular everyday item or
has a purple fizzy potion. Well, we are doing fantasy stuff, so let's take a weapon of choice and go with the fantasy monster.
Okay.
Detective Garza would go with normal, but we're having fun.
Okay. Well, the normal item would have been an empty barrel, 4 feet tall, but you chose the weapon, so you are now getting a Morning Star.
Okay.
And so instead of facing a pack of 5 gray wolves, your detective now must face a cunning chimera or chimera, I guess. Chimera.
Oh, a chimera. All right.
Yes. So
and it's a cunning chimera.
Yes, you have a Morning Star, you have a loud purple fizzy potion, and there's a chimera in this mystical.
If there's anybody watching, what are the traits of a chimera?
Good question. If only
I know the word and I understand monster, but it's a for real thing. So what does a chimera do?
It is a fire-breathing female monster with a lion's head, a goat's body, and a serpent's tail.
Oh, okay. I thought that was a manticore, but I'll take it. That's a chimera. Got it.
So lion head, goat body, serpent's tail. So body of a goat, so it can't be but so big.
Okay. All right.
So what happens? I used to make it like gladiatorial combat, but now what would your detective do in this situation? If he wants to try to run away, we'll see if he can. Who knows? And don't forget the loud purple fizzy potion, because Isaac wanted it to be loud purple.
Yep. All right. So I've met the chimera on the trail in the suicide forest in Japan with the sun coming down and a mist and the creek. I think I'm going to throw the fizzy potion at them. I'm going to try and get it into the chimera's mouth.
It's 100%. If you throw it, it will hit them and it will affect them.
Okay, we've tossed it. We've tossed it at the chimera.
Okay, so the fire-breathing chimera is now affected by a potion of fire resistance and cannot be harmed by flames for the next 30 minutes. Really should have drank that one.
Should have drank that.
Yeah.
All right. So Detective Ramos is not going to outrun anything because he's a guy in his 50s who's under early retirement, probably has injuries from his duty. So hands out, he approaches the chimera cautiously because he's not getting anywhere. He starts moving towards the water.
Okay. And it's your story. What does the chimera do?
Oh, so you want me to tell a story? Okay.
Yes. This is the way that we get to know your character without giving away.
The only reason that Detective Ramos would be in the suicide forest is because there was somebody in the forest in danger. Like he was going after somebody's kid to keep him from becoming part of the forest. So he'd have a lot of determination for what needs to happen. He would try to get around the edge, somehow get around the the Chimera. He would not be threatening. He would have the Morning Star, but he wouldn't be threatening the animal with it, because he'd be trying to, you just go about and do your business. You go your way. I'm going to go my way. I got to get to the girl in the forest. And well, if it's going to be interesting, the creature is going to have some kind of problem that needs solving. So he's going to be a grumpy bastard. And I tell you what's going to happen. He's going to notice that the Chimera has a thorn in its paw.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to approach and remove the thorn so he can go on into the suicide forest to assist. And if this is a cozy version of that, he now has a Chimera companion to help him face off all the ghosts.
So it's a thorn
to be fireproof for 30 minutes.
Right. So it's a thorn in the paw and not a part of the breaking the glass that's been broken as the potion was lobbed at it.
Yeah. I'm going to go with that. Not my fault.
Okay. So now the detective has a Chimera who hopefully doesn't breathe on the murder scene or whatever scene and destroy all the context.
Yeah. Because I mean, that is the central tenet of Detective Ramos. Is he's that beleaguered cop who just wants to, gosh darn it, why won't people do things the right way? He carries through because he has a responsibility, not that he likes it.
So see, now I want you to write like a slapstick version where the Chimera is with him and he destroys the scene that he's trying to develop clues from. I think you can do a slapstick version.
No, I could try for
probably
some
not
comedy.
To publish. Don't know if you want to publish it, but I want to read it if you do it.
Well, I can try. Writing comedy is incredibly, for anybody that's still with us. Do any of you guys write comedy? We'll see if anybody answers. I don't know. If any, hands down to people who can write comedy. I occasionally say things that are funny, but I assure you, I didn't think they were funny when I wrote them.
So
you've been known to, Isaac. Well, just a fun scene here and there. Yeah. Well, it's because it's really, really hard.
Yeah.
Because the elements. Think about the elements of comedy. If you're gonna tell it, so to tell a joke, you have to set up something awful, make it relatable, deliver it with a twist in a way that makes people think, gosh, I should have known that, and so example, I saw a commercial the other day. I like to laugh. I'm a funny guy. I enjoy laughing. I'm just not funny myself. And I get one of these things on Instagram that you hate, but I get these videos of ads that you should have watched. And one of the ads that came up is a couple checking out at a hotel desk, and they're ready to pay, and they put up the bill, and he says, just the bill, and you had 2 movies, and the wife says, no, there was only one. And then of course what happens is he reads off the movies. One is Harry Potter and one is kinky pornography, and he says, I'm sorry, I watched it while you were in the shower, I didn't really mean it. And she's like, I cannot believe you're watching Harry Potter. Are you a grown man or not? And that's because they gave you all the details that you needed, and then gave you a different answer. And that's the essence of comedy. And I just am not good at setting up the surprise ending. I mean, knowing how to do something and being able to do it aren't the same.
Yep.
Oh. So we've done the Bald Dome. We've talked about books. We've gotten rid of Roe.
Yeah. Check.
We're kind of running through it. So here, I'll ask you. It's a rug pull. Yeah, that's right, Isaac. It's all rug pull. You gotta, but it's not just rug pull, because you have to set up a logical answer that would be surprising, so that you can surprise somebody. Quick question: with all of these worlds you're exploring in your novels and short stories, what sets them apart from each other, and which are your favorites? So I write all of these worlds because I want to play around in all of them. The world of the Temra is one that I spend a lot of time in. That's the epic fantasy world. And the truth is, it really has one central story that holds the whole story together. The Temra is really a story about Eldred and his son Gent, and it's the story follows his lifetime. So all of these stories happen in about an 80-year period, from the point where Gent is conceived until Gent's death much later in the story. And there's a whole bunch of stories that go through it, because essentially he's chased down, has to go, falls apart, wins it back, and then has to learn how to be a decent person. But the center of that story is a father's love for his son. Even though, it's all the horrible things that a father will do to protect his son, and what happens to your children if you are an immoral person, and then how do you find a central theme of decency in a harsh situation. And then I gave him a good villain to hunt him. By the way, King Harold is the bad guy in the stories. King Harold's the one that wants to destroy all the magic in the world, and Eldred of Strum is his name, by the way, named for a province, Strum, in the area of Temra. But I really like that one because it's all about the things that parents will do for their children, good and bad. And since I dwell on a lot of bad people, that's there's a lot of rough stuff in that story. But then, because I go around a whole world, in a whole bunch of different circumstances in a bunch of different places, there's just so much to play with. And I get to explore all the different things that magic would mean and how it holds together. I really like hanging out in the Temra. The thing that I like about the Near Earth series is I wanted the idea of a grand adventure centered around meeting other people, other worlds. So the essence of the Near Earth series is, what would it be like to be a human at a point in history where two things are happening. One, you have first contact. So we run into an alien species. The only thing you've seen so far, Mike, or anybody who's read what I've published, is the graveyards where there's the ends of battles, but you've only seen a little bit of the other races. But the story itself, the central story that holds it all together, is humanity's reach into the world and finding other people, but in the context of our own creations discovering themselves. So we're in turmoil because androids are becoming real, and they're surrogates for a slave class and a minority population. And then you have the people that are a part of the planets and the people that are out in the world, so that you have othering and small, and that's an exploration of being an outsider. The whole story of the Near Earth, I'm sympathetic with the outsiders every time, both in the human environment and in the alien species. It's the outsiders that interest me, and that's just because I like exploring the challenges of being a decent person in a world that's out to get you. And then the Seaward Island series is all about the criminal underground in the environment of supernatural beings. So think urban fantasy. Seaward Island is a made-up island in the United States, but it's owned by a shifter clan. And the whole point is, it was an isolated place so that the shifters had a place to go and not be, they'd be safe. But it's at a point where the people who set it up are old and they've died, and it's a passing to the, from one generation of a clan to another generation. And in a world where, if you just imagine that all the supernatural beings are real, and you've got old world and new world, again, this is a chance to explore being outsiders and being criminals where all the supernatural beings, humans are there, and the reason that you're hidden from the humans is there's billions of humans and only millions of supernatural beings, but they run crime organizations and own businesses because they have long lives, and there's inner family conflict, and then species conflict and dealing with humans, and it's kind of an angsty thing, but I enjoy spending time there because I like all the conflict. I like all the fights. So which one do I like most? You got me to give you a 15-minute answer, but I like hanging out in all those worlds. So I'm writing in the epic fantasy, I'm publishing in the science fiction, and I'm editing in the supernatural. And I figure when I get the supernatural out, I'll switch over and get ready to publish in fantasy, and then I'll start writing a new thing in science fiction. So,
yeah, that's what I found when I published 4 books in a row in the Pertani series, and that 4th book took me like 16 months because I was just burned out. I just ground down to nothing. So that's why I wrote the sci-fi and separate fantasy series. It's going to take place in Spain, like 300 BC. And
you're going to do science fiction 300 BC Spain.
Yeah, and then I'll go back to 300
science
BC.
Fiction. Not like Pretenders or Brittany, but like Star Trek.
It's going to be fantasy. It's a separate. Well,
fantasy, not science. I thought you said science fiction in 300 BC. I was going to be like, that's actually kind of a cool idea. Pull that one off.
So, I talked to several authors. Said, the dumbest thing you can do is be known for fantasy and then like switch genres and really, your readers won't follow you and then you have to start from scratch again. And I was like, my next book coming out is a sci-fi book. So,
my thoughts on that are, it's like what do you call it when you have a bunch of different stocks in your portfolio? Diversification.
Yeah,
I'm diversifying my audience. There will be some crossover, but I'm going to put out all 3. And for those of you who do subscribe to that, I'm also writing thrillers under another name.
So, the problem is that each time you go into a new genre, you're a nobody and you have to establish yourself. And so if you have to establish yourself in 4 different genres, that's a lot of work. Now, again, I do not need the money from my book sales to, eat, or else I'd be much, much thinner. Doctor would probably approve of that diet. But anyway, so I'm just going to put out books that I like, and,
all of my writing, I'm playing in my head. I'm out there. Some people sit around and watch television, and some people, go play softball and stuff like that. I sit down at a computer and dream up a world and, put people in it and screw with them.
Yeah. So, yeah, my first book, I talked to an author and they're like, how do you know when you're ready? You're nervous to publish your first book. And I was like, I looked at it this way. If my first book is terrible, then 10 people are going to read it, and no one else is ever going to see it. In a year from now, no one's even going to remember it. So what do I have to be afraid of? So I was like, hey, I'm publishing. If it's good, they'll all know. If it's bad, everyone will forget about it. So there is really no reason to be nervous. And that's when I uploaded to Amazon, and I called my brother and doubled the number of people in the world who knew that I'd published a book, because that was my strategy. Unfortunately, I didn't know any more.
Part of my strategy is I figure people will let me know which story is a good story.
Yeah.
And so far, Mike has told me they're both good stories.
So, yeah, the 2 are very good. And the third one, I think I'll have to take Rose's advice and read a little further, because I was like, it's all right. I mean, I love the androids because I always tell people it's the book I didn't know I wanted, because how often do you hear about books told from the android's point of view?
Right.
So, I mean, that to me,
which stories have you read? I don't remember the order. Which stories have you read?
I was looking at those. You're putting me on the spot. I read the first one. Let me get out your book here.
So She Got the Kids, which is a setup. I'm giving you stuff. By the way, the interludes,
Yeah.
that's a story that runs all the way through.
I don't think I read the interlude. I think I read A Gentleman's Virtue.
Okay. Well,
And
if
those are
you
the
read
two.
the interludes, they're all short. They're I think the first one's 1,500 words and the second one's 25. They actually kind of grow, I guess. And they're the ones where you're going to get the awkward moments. But they all feed into the last story. So if
Okay.
you read the interludes, they're providing you information that are all relevant to the last story.
Okay. So I will give it some more reading time and see what I like. Is this on audio?
Yes. And I
It
gave
is.
you a copy.
Okay. Again, goldfish memory.
It's okay.
Let's see.
It's okay. Yes. So by the way, that's one of my goals is that for everything I publish, it'll be all there. I'll do the ebook, paperback, hardcover, and the Audible.
So, let's see. So you have a fantasy coming out in October because you're totally slacking and taking September off.
I think I'm going to finish a novel and then finish the editing and formatting. So yeah, I think I'm going to shoot for October for the next book. Again, by the way, I told you that I'd written 7 novels, and that I had. There'll be an 8th, and then I'll get this one out. So I think I'm going to have a backlog of between 5 and 7 novels at any given time, so I can always push out some more.
Okay. You are truly a machine. I am hoping to get 1 novel and 3 novellas out by summer of next year. So
I have faith in you. Faith in you. That's awesome. So we still have Isaac, or we had Isaac, and Tim, and I don't know if we had anybody else. Are there any questions? I'm here. I'd love to answer them. If not, I'm delighted that all of you did show up and that Mike and Ro gave me a chance to hang out with you. Ro at least thinks it's a great book, and Mike is willing to give me credit for being able to write.
I've finished 2 of your books, and I liked both of them. The third one, I've only read a couple chapters, so the jury's out on the third one. But you're 2 for 2.
I will remind you that you did not like the first one for a while either.
This is true.
Okay. So Isaac, what are my influences? So several influences. My mother was a journalism teacher, and she was an editor. The reason my mother stopped editing is that I was born. So when she had my sister, she could keep up as an editor. But when I was born, it was just too much. So she became a stay-home mom, and that went away. But the type of person that did that was in my house. My mom is a huge influence in terms of reading. I had a teacher in the 6th grade who put The Hobbit in my hand, and that turned me into a reader, and I read a ton because of that. But I think you're probably asking what are my literary influences, and I would say probably Ernest Hemingway is the big one, and I say that without Ro present.
I know. Wish he was here.
I would rather fight that one out with him, but I love Ernest Hemingway. Did a great job. Thanks, Usman. Ernest Hemingway is probably the biggest of the literary influences. J.R.R. Tolkien obviously took me a long way in terms of becoming a writer. My oldest sister, it's actually my half sister, is a novelist, and she's done quite well. We're estranged, but she was a big influence. She's a very talented person. Then in terms of current reading, I do like Brandon Sanderson. I'm one of those guys. George R.R. Martin, if he could ever finish a novel, is a genius. I think becoming famous slowed him down quite a bit because when he was a mid-lister, he was effective. Patrick Rothfuss, A Name of the Wind is one of the best books I've ever read. Then Lord Grimdark. I'm a big fan of Joe Abercrombie. God, that guy can tell a story. Glenn Cook, The Black Company, man, they're awesome. It just a great set. R.A. Salvatore, Drizzt. I mean, gosh, how can you not enjoy that crowd? I like the big. I have a real appreciation in science fiction for the found family, the troop of soldiers or the little gang that all come together and feed off of each other and love and take care of each other. I really dig that. In terms of science fiction, James A. Corey is a good guy. Andy Weir is a really good place to go. A huge influence for me. I really did not know that I needed to read it. But was Victor Vinge did A Deepness in the Sky. Or wait, that's not is A Deepness in the Sky the first of those? I don't remember. But if you run into Victor Vinge, go ahead and read him. He knows what he's doing. Zelazny. Has anybody read The Lord of Light? Roger Zelazny. It's like a 1960s or 70s telling. That opened the idea to me of what if the pantheon was really humans coming back to Earth with, so our thought of gods is really just advanced humans. Fire upon the deep. That's it. Usman. That's the man. A Deepness in the Sky is book 2. And then, of course, Dune. The first 3 books are excellent, if hard to read. And then beyond that, they get weirder and harder to read. Terry Brooks in fantasy as well. And then in terms of urban fantasy, I've read a lot of Patricia Biggs, even though it's like candy. It goes down fast and easy. It's not going to change your life, but you want another bite when you get to the end of it. So,
that's what Ro always calls cotton candy. You know exactly what you're getting, and then once you eat it, it's gone, and you move on with your life.
Yeah, and I enjoyed that. I did like Laurel K. Hamilton with all of the stuff that she did. At least in the beginning, she was a little bit racy, but if you've read my work, I like a little bit racy. Susan Rice, too bad she's dead. She was kind of a weirdo, but she was a great writer. Really enjoyed those. Have I given you enough influences, Isaac?
So before I forget, because Tim McKay will be happy about this, I'm actually going to plug our next episode on the air. So the next one will be Monday at 7 p.m. It's going to be the creature creation. And Usman is one of the 4 people who will be creating the creature. So you just have to be better than the Samboni, which is not hard.
Well, I tell you what, guys, and also go out and give Bards and Books a tickle. He's got a lot of good and interesting things to say, and he does a lot of reviews. So,
yep, and he is in the back of my book for ones that I recommend for booktubers. So yes,
one thing that you should have asked in there too, Isaac, is indie writers that you should be paying attention to. I really enjoyed Tori Tekken's book. For some reason, Bloodstones. Bloodstones. I really enjoyed it. It was a great telling. I was surprised and delighted by Jacqueline Hagen's The Wickwire Watch. That was really good. Gosh, now I just said it and I'm spacing on names. Obviously, Mike, who's here with me. I enjoyed his series. I've read all of his Grommy stories. They're great. Rose story. I'm reading it, so I can't tell you the end yet. He's got the opportunity to piss me off, and he's not there yet. But but I'm reading it. So I mean, there's a lot of good stuff out there, and then of course some of you guys. I mean, I've got Tim's book. There could be more. You should go give him a look. And Laura Huey is also another one. Did I say that right? Is it Huey or
Huey,
Howie?
yeah.
Huey.
Huey.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you, for me, I started read indie. Your book, like I said, with the androids, that's the first time I didn't know I wanted a book told from the androids' point of view when they're, getting ready for another war with the humans. Had no idea, never thought of this. It was just so creative. This is why I love indie. Laura's The Sunset Sovereign, a dragon's memoir. Think of it as Smaug's retelling after the thief comes in, and Smaug's like, I'll let you have everything if you let me tell you my tale first. And I mean, and now I'm finishing up, hopefully tonight, Far Removed by Co. Lansdale, which it is a fantasy series of amphibious people who live on a moon circling a gas giant. There are no humans alive, and everyone is washed up on shore as an anemone, and then they grow into human-like things. No one knows how they reproduce because there's no sex once they're adult form, and no one remembers what happened in the sea. And I'm like, where did you come up with this? And it's kind of like caste systems, because depending which island you wash up on is what clan you're in, and then and I mean, wildly inventive. I could have lived 4 lifetimes and never encountered anything touching this, and is being close. And that's what I love about indie, is just the stuff like, I don't know what you're doing recreationally, but keep doing it. I love the story. And I mean, hers is more, there's very little action, and I am, very much an action oriented sort of thing, but it's weird. And they remind you, like, well, I can go swimming, but only for an hour because my gills do not, completely work now that I'm, terrestrial. So, and I mean, just subtle reminders that they're not humans. Love it. Absolutely love it. That's the next book I'm going to feature in my newsletter, and I have to come up with another one for September. So we'll see. I'm going to start Timothy Wolf's, because his covers just, I
The
told
lizards.
him,
Yeah.
I told him the first one was an angel, and I was like, ugh, I did 10 years of Catholic school. I'm not interested in a book with an angel on the cover. And then the second one has a lizard king. And the third one, the Lord of Arrogance, it looks like an Inca sun mask or something. I'm like, how do these fit together? I must know. So Timothy Wolf is next up. And then Tim McKay has got me thinking that his omnibus edition is actually 3 books. So I can just read 1 book of his and not a 750 some odd page monstrosity. So yeah, I need more time to read is my problem.
Yeah.
But then, if I was productive, I could do that, but instead I play video games. So, there you go.
Well, we all have our problems, right?
So,
all right, let's just double check. All right, so any more for you, sir?
Well, and now
Garden Maze is short. What is Garden Maze?
That is Isaac's book.
Oh, okay.
So I might have to give that. I need to have Isaac on the show so he can tell us about the book. I mean, he did just create a
answer there. Isaac, are you down? You want to do the show? Fingers, keyboard.
Isaac, I can set you up for September. I'm starting to do September schedule, so let me know.
Anytime. All right. So
September.
That's a little Twitter connection there. We'll get him on. We'd love to hear about him and learn what he's got going on, because he's a regular. He's around. We'd love to see it.
Okay, and then we can throw up some comments about the Sandboni and how it's weak and worthless.
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
awesome.
Sir, thank you.
90 minutes. It was good fun. I would love last thing for anybody who's around. If you are a reviewer, you'd like to review, happy to give you a copy of what I've got. Would love to be reviewed. If you're a YouTuber, I'd love to be on your show. If you are a writer and you've got questions, I'm easy to find on Twitter, and would be more than happy to connect. I can also be found on Discord. More than happy to do chapter swaps and read and help in any way. This is a community, so get out there, be active. Mike, is there any place you think I ought to go next?
Oh, wow. You put me on the spot. So I actually just sent a message to Aaron from Bibliotheory because I sent him one and said, hey, do you want to be on the show in April? And I'm like, I swear I normally follow up sooner than 4 months after the fact, but you got a book coming out. So I want to actually try to get him on our show next month. But
Awesome.
I think his show would be an interesting one for you to go on. I think that he does a very good job of interviewing people. Beard of Darkness, obviously.
Yeah. And Matt and I will make up for yesterday. I was going to be there yesterday, but he had a little challenge.
And Matt is absolutely one of my favorite people.
He is a super nice dude.
Let's see. Other than that, I don't know. Have you been on Joe Burns' show, JCM Burns?
I have not.
If you want to talk about a guy who's funny, or at least old man funny, he loves his puns, and
Well, yeah,
we'll enjoy it. I mean, the young kids here in the talk in the chat may not, but he is a great person to interview and to be interviewed by.
Awesome.
And if you ever get your own channel, AR Witham is a wonderful interviewer and interviewee as well.
AR Witham.
He wrote.
You didn't respond to my tell me about other YouTubers because you would have told me that.
Well, I have a good
period R period
Witham, WITH
HAM
AM with AM. He wrote The Legend of Blackjack is his first book, and The Crimes of Rooker Flynn just came out last month, I think. Yeah. He is always happy. He's he asks smart questions. He's entertaining. Highly recommend him.
All right.
All
right. Well, that's good stuff. Everybody, thank you very much.
And EL, thank you for letting me be on your show.
Thank you for letting me be on your show. It's a good time.
Okay, take care, and thanks everybody. It's the waving awkward time.